My name's Chris with Framerverse, and in this video I'm going to show you my new lookout component, which effectively just adds a password protected area to your sites. But the great thing is with this particular component is that it connects to your CMS, so you can collect it to a collection and you can use it on client pages. So great for login areas where they don't need a high level of server-side security. So let's take a look at the component. The component itself is very straightforward to use. You just drag it onto the page here, and you can see that I've already got it onto this dummy page. Let's take a look at what it looks like in action. So here we have a locked out screen, and we have a password. We don't need a username, just a password with this, because what we would do is we would send the person to that specific page that was their page, and then they can just log into it. So why do you want a password in front of it? Well, it adds a level of security to the page for other people logging in, and it just means that it's a good user experience where the client goes to their personalized dash and they can log in. And we can see, if I take a look at the component here, we can see that this connects to our database here. And then if we go in, we're on customer 1, so I know that that password is test1 because that's what I put in there. Let's take a look at what happens. So the client comes to the page, they type in their password, unlocks. Great. Now let's go to client 2, do the same thing again, and then if we type in that, anything really, you can see that they're locked out. And then in this one, I know that this one is QWERTY, and so we've got access to this page. Okay, so you get the idea of how it works. Very easy to set up. All we need is a password field in the collection, and you can see that this page is a detail page. So this data would be coming in from the customer details, and we've just placed the password protector onto the page. It sits at the top here. We've set it to 00 absolute on the page here, so that it just sits in the top corner there. And to actually edit the component, if we switch on preview, we can see all of the different elements displayed here. And let's just make this 100%. We can always change it back, because this is just the preview, so it doesn't affect anything else. And let's say 800 pixels for that, just so that we've got a clear view of it. And one of the features that we have is the mobile view. So we've got this mobile version of it here, so that it's a nice experience for the customer. And let's set that, maybe that modal height. There we go. So we've got a bit more height. No, actually, I think it was fine as it was. Okay, so what are the different options? Well, we have obviously the preview, mobile preview. Then we have the password field itself, which we would connect up to the password field in our collection. And then we have all the different labels to do with the text on here. We have a forgot password URL. This is the click here, so we could take that and link that to a form or another page where they could retrieve their password, or they could request it. An unlock text, and then we have this brand text here. Now I'm going to put in there, I don't know why I've put your brand name, but there we go. So I'm going to put in there Framerverse, and we'll see where that comes in a minute. So we've got our modal width and height. So this one, let's say that one's 300. We could do that, let's say 500. That's for the desktop version, doesn't affect the mobile version. And then we've got our colors. So we've got full range of colors for all the different elements, so we can get it to look just right. Typography, then our borders. And our borders controls obviously the color of the border of the modal here, but we've also got our controls here for the edge borders of the modal here, so we can change that. And we have then the element borders. So these are the internal elements. You can see that we're now changing those to match the particular look of the buttons that you might have in your site, so that we can change the look and feel to match. We also then have this nice background image. That's this background cover image here on this side. And we have our logo as well. So if you don't have a logo installed, then that's where the company name comes in. And so it shows your company name in there. Again, just a nice feature to the experience. Then we've got the animation duration. How quickly do you want it to fade in and out? you might not want to play with that. Works pretty well. Maximum attempts. Now what this does is it allows them maximum attempts to log in, and then it will lock them out for a duration, because it actually stores their login success in local storage on their device, not anywhere else. So they, when they return, they don't have to log back in with the username and password. But for the first time experience, it just creates that nice secure feeling like you're working with a company that, you know, a nice design agency with everything in place. So we're not creating illusion here because it's a real thing, but it just creates that nice experience. So you could set that to an unlimited amount of attempts and a lockout duration. You could set that to 0, whatever you want. So in practice, once you've testing it out, we can see here, now that we're previewing this, it's not there anymore. And we wanted to preview the component again. So how do we get that back? Because as I said, it stores the success of the login process locally. So how do I get rid of that? Well, if we right click and we click on inspect, and then I'm going to go into applications, and I'm going to see my local storage here. So my local storage for this project is here, and I can see the password protect sessions here. So I'm just going to delete all of those. Now, when I close that down, I'm going to close this and go back to that window. And now if I reload, we can see that that comes back. So that's a way of, when you're building this, to just so that you can test it all working on your site. So remember, in the CMS, we just have whatever we want to call this collection. We just need a password field, which is just a text field. And we just need to connect it up to our, if I remove this here, we can see we've got a password there. That would be the same password for everybody if you wanted that, but we don't really want that. So we can connect this up to, let's say, that variable there. And we can connect anything with the plus button up to a database variable. So you could have the client's logo, for instance, coming in, or you could have an image, a background image for each client. Whatever you wanted, you can do that there. So anything with a plus button, you can connect it to a database variable. And that's it. So then once we're happy with this, then let's just set this back to fit content and fit content. Why do we do that? Well, because when the component closes the login modal down, it's going to set it to a 0, height and width, just so that it takes it off the page, so that it doesn't interfere with anything else. So by setting it to fit, that means that when it changes the modal to be a 0 height, this will collapse down on itself and just sit there in the top corner. And then we just want to switch our preview off. And so it just gives us a reminder of where that component is. Doesn't interfere with when we actually publish the site, because if I actually publish the site here, we go to this page, we can see we've got that there. Everything's working out great. Okay, so that's the component there. Easy to just drag and drop. Hope you enjoy using it. Everything is in the site is ready to go for you. So when you get the remix, you can just play around and everything's all here ready for you to use it as you will. And I hope you enjoy using it. I certainly enjoyed building it, and thanks for watching.